Yo, what's good YouTube? Sam Crow here, aka Scoop, back with the Pokemon Battle Federation. This week we take on Cade, aka Frostfire 15 or 14, something like that. Week 4 versus the Irvine Infernapes, and as you can see, he brought Hitmonlee, Mega Altaria, Suicune, Zapdos, Jirachi, and Crocodile, as we brought Ditto, Rotom Heat, Mew, Weezing, Chestnut, and Garchomp. One second. Okay, let's hop into the battle. I'm not predicting Jirachi or Crocodile to lead. I'm going to lead with Ditto, so I can scout his movesets and potentially U-turn on the Jirachi, as well as him maybe U-turning on me. So he leads Crook, and I lead Crook. So here I get to see his moveset. And his moveset was Knockoff, Earthquake, Stone Edge, and Aerial Ace. So predicting him to go for the knockoff, I'm going to switch out to my Chestnut, who is Rocky Helmet, and has defensive investment to pretty much wall this thing to oblivion and back. And we see his Life Orb here, so that's good to know. He swaps out to Zapdos as we go for the Leech Seed. But we miss. No, we land. Okay, it must be later when we miss. Anyways, Rotom Heats are switching for Zapdos here. You can take HP Ice, Heat Wave, Thunderbolt, whatever. And he goes for the Volt Switch, which is fine. He's got a pretty nice Volt Switch core in Zapdos and Jirachi. That's fine though. He goes into Crook. And here he goes for the Stone Edge. And knowing I can live, I'm going to fire off a Will-O-Wisp to burn this thing. Pretty solid position still, despite Rotom being so weak. So now we swap in Chestnut here, knowing that even Aerial Ace 4 times effective can't do much. He goes for the knockoff though. He gets a critical hit, but it doesn't matter, it still does minimal damage. And here we're going to go for Spiky Shield to get some more damage off and the burn damage rack up and not allow him to hit us. Now here I'm going to switch out to Garchomp to take the incoming Aerial Ace. And he'll die to Rough Skin and burn damage or whatever. But he actually goes for knockoff and he knocks off my Salak Berry. It's not a big deal though. That means that I can't outspeed the Jirachi later though. So that's a problem. He brings in Zapdos, and we're going to switch back out to Rotom here, as he goes for the Hidden Power Ice probably. And he does. But we live, we tank it on 1 HP. And now Hidden Power will knock us out. So Garchomp's knocked out the Crook with the Rough Skin, and Zapdos has knocked out the Rotom Heat with the Hidden Power Ice, sitting at a 5-5 match, just 10 turns in. Now I bring in Mew. I didn't really have anything else to hit this thing with, so I'm just going to bring in Mew and go for the Psy Shot. So he goes for the Volt Switch. I'm a substitute Calm Mind, Psy Shock, Aura Sphere Mew. So I couldn't set up yet because he has this thing, which I can't hit. we're gonna switch out here because he's probably going for the U-turn. And now I can scout his Rachi set with my Ditto, just like I did his Crooked off. He does go for the U-turn, as predicted. It does about, I'm not sure on the percentage of that. Not enough to scare me. And he swaps out here. Here I see his moveset though, and he has U-turns, in headed butt, iron head, and the ice punch. So I can just U-turn out as he's U-turns out. And he brings in his Suicune. So not wanting anything to take a burn, I'm going to switch in Mew, as if it does get burned, it will synchronize. And I do get burnt, unfortunately, but in turn, I do get to synchronize, so he's burned also. And now, expecting another Scald, I can safely switch into my Chestnut. As he does make a double switch, actually. Well, he doesn't double switch, but he switched in something to take the hit from Mew. So he switches in Zapdos here and goes for the Volt Switch. I predicted him to do this, predicted him to over-predict and go for the Volt Switch instead of the Hidden Power Ice or a Heat Wave or something like that. And I go for the Leech Seed. And this is the Leech Seed that misses. And he doubles into Jirachi, predicting my Weezing to come out, as I do switch into my Weezing. So this is an interesting play. But again, here I'm going to predict him to over-predict and go for U-turn, expecting me to switch out, not wanting to take a Zen Headbutt. So I go for the Will-O-Wisp on the incoming Zapdos. And we do land, so now Zapdos is burnt. So that's really good. So I think I misplayed when I let my Rotom Heat take the Stone Edge, because now I have no switch in for Zapdos. So here I'm going to swap him on Mew as he goes for the Volt Switch. Mew is pretty much useless at this point, being burnt, low HP, and being a setup mon. So I'm just using Mew to come in and take hits, and it's pretty much a sack whenever I need it to be. So predicting a U-turn here, or possibly even an Iron Head, I'm going to swap out to Garchomp to get some more damage off on this thing, to see if it has any other item besides a Scarf, maybe. I predict it to be Scarf, but he brings in his Mega Altar, and we're going to switch out to Weezing again. This Weezing is specially defensive, but can take this thing on even if it's physically offensive, just due to its general natural defensive bulk. And he does go for the Double Edge, revealing to be physically offensive. And it does about 40%-ish. So here I'm going to go for the Clear Smog in case he decides he wants to set up or something. But he actually swaps to Zapdos, and it takes the Clear Smog relatively well. And predicting a Volt Switch, we can go into Garchomp. But he actually goes for the Roost, which is a good play. Now I know that he has roost though. In predicting the HPI, we can go into Ditto here, and actually we can see his entire moveset. I've understood from the battle so far that he's specially defensive, so that I can take this HPI and I can roost it off easily. Because roost, obviously, you lose your flying type, and the HPI won't be doing that much. So here we go for the roost, as he probably goes for the HPI again. That was my prediction anyway, and it is what he does, so that's good. And he's burnt too, and we're not, so we're still in a solid position here. We are locked in the roost, which is kind of a bitch. But we'll force him to switch before we take much damage. And here he goes for the volt switch, and as I lost my flying type, it still doesn't do much. And he swaps out to his Mega Altaria, who has been revealed to be physically offensive. So we can swap out here to our Wheezing. As he goes for the double edge. Now here's where I misplay again. I'm going to predict him to swap out to the Zapdos again, and I'm going to taunt him, but he actually stays in and goes for the double edge. I guess he thought he could knock out at that range, but he was pretty much sacking his Mega Altaria there. If I went for Clear Smog, it would have did major damage, but we misplayed and went for the taunt, and he's able to knock out our Weezing with Mega Altaria. So it's sitting at 5-4 right now, and he has two Pokemon that are burnt. So now we can bring in our Ditto and Revenge Kill this thing. I'm not going to over predict here, and I'm just going to go for the double edge, and he does stay in. So Ditto is able to knock out the Mega Altaria and put us right back at 4-4. But now he can freely bring in his Jirachi. And I could have stayed in and fired off another double edge. But he does go for the Ice Punch, so he would have knocked out. So I can just sack my Mew here, take the Ice Punch, and then die to the burn, which is okay, I guess. Now we're sitting at 4-3. 30 turns in, and it's 4-3. And I bring back in my Ditto, as he's locked in the Ice Punch. At this point, I'm assuming he's scarfed the way he brought Jirachi in on a scarf Mega Altaria. So he swaps out to Suicune here, and I predicted him to switch, so I just went for his Zen Headbutt to get some damage off on something. So Suicune's burnt, and it's almost near half HP, so that's really good. And now we can swap into Chestnut. Chestnut's got enough special defense investment to take this thing on and take on the rest of his team, really. Can even live a Zen Headbutt from Jirachi, which is really cool. And here I can go for Leech Seed, as he's fishing for a burn, but he doesn't get it. He does get a critical hit, but that doesn't matter much. Here we go for the Leech Seed, and in combination with the Leech Seed, burn, and potentially a Drain Punch or Wood Hammer or something, he's going to be forced to switch out, or he's going to lose the Suicune. So predicting him to switch out right here, I'm going to go for a double Leech Seed. And he does switch out to the Zapdos, and we do get the Leech Seed off on it. Will it land? Yes, it does land. So he's burnt with leaf seed recovery being sent back to me. So this is really good for me. It's 4-3, but we're in a good position even after 2 misplays. So predicting him to roost here, I'm setting up late game spikes. I know he has the defog, but this will force him to defog, and I have way more spikes than he has defogs and roost. I'm pretty much going to try to stall him here at this point. I'm going to try to predict his roost and get the drain punches off and stuff like that. And he goes for the hidden power ices. I get the spiky shield off. Pretty much like a protect, but if you attack me with a physical attack, you're going to be damaged yourself. So that's a pretty cool move. We're getting HP back, and he's losing HP, so this is good for us. He's also burnt, which is good for us. And he goes for the roost. And here, I believe I set up another spike. So we've got 2 layers of spikes up. So now when he's forced to switch around like this, we will be getting damage off. He goes for the hidden power here. And it does, what, 30% maybe, 25% to 30%, something like that. And we get up that 3rd layer of spikes. So he's going to be forced to defog sooner or later if he doesn't want things like Jirachi and Suicune or Hitmonlee taking a lot of damage when they come in, which could potentially win me the match, because this is coming down to a timer war. There's like, I couldn't record this live because it was too long. It lasted a whole hour, and I just couldn't record that because I didn't have enough space on my recorder. So anyways, there's like 12 minutes left at this point, something like that. 12 minutes or maybe even 10 minutes left in the in-game battle at this point. And it's a pretty good stall war between my Chestnut and his Zapdos. And I know it doesn't have a fighting type attack because it's used Volt Switch, Hidden Power Ice, Roost, and had it had a flying type attack, it would have used it on my 4 times weak to flying Pokemon Chestnut. But here I swapped into Zapdos. Here's where things get interesting. He goes for the Roost. As we bring in Zapdos and we get the leaf seed recovery back and we get the burn damage off. So we have 2 options here. We can Hidden Power Ice or we can Volt Switch. And I went for the Hidden Power Ice, which was a misplay. Had I Volt Switch there, this would have been an easy win for me, as in conjunction with Spike's damage and the Volt Switch, his Jirachi would have been really low and he would have been forced to switch out again. If I would have Volt Switched into my Chestnut, he would have been forced to switch out again and come back in on the spikes, and he would be really, really low. Here I can just go for the lead seed, or even double that actually. Yeah. So if we Volt Switch there, we'd have gained major momentum and possibly won the match. But we misplayed and went for the Hidden Power Ice. I guess it was obvious, but it was a 50-50 to me. I saw it as a 50-50. And now his Zapdos is able to Roost on me, which is not good. This is not good at all. Sitting at 4-3 and the timer's on like 5 minutes left. So I'm having to make switches and switches. I've got to try to damage something, kill something somehow, some way. He's able to go for the hidden power ice. As you can see, as you can see, my chestnut can take these hidden power ice and ice punch all day. Here I'm gonna go for the leech seed on his hidden power ice again. What I need is my leech seed and the burn damage. And pretty much can have to actually just keep sacking or swapping mons here so I can get my Garchomp in and try to damage this even more. But he's able to roost stall. I can't hurt the Zapdos. So this is not good. There's like 3 minutes left on the timer at this point, and I should know it's a losing battle and it's starting to get annoying. But it's my own fault. Had I played my Rotom Heat better, I could have won this match easily. And even after that, had I not been playing safe with my Weezing and actually hit the Mega Altaria instead of letting it just 2-hit KO me with the double edge at the range I was at anyway, I could have won easily, I do believe. And then had I went for the Volt Switch on the Jirachi switch, man, that would have been really good. But I didn't, and it did cost me. One thing I want to point out about this match is I didn't bring Mega Alakazam, he's my ace, he's my go-to, he's what I know best, and I didn't bring it. I had a set in mind, but ultimately I decided to bring Ditto over it. As you can see, Ditto worked out really well, but it just wasn't enough in the end. And the timer's on 1 second here. Time just expired actually as I brought my Ditto in. I went for the Volt Switch here. I'm not sure what he went for. The timer does stall out here as he goes for Roost. And though I still have Pokemon on my side, I lose somehow, some way. That's just how the game works. If the timer ends, it goes by who's got the most Pokemon. If you had the same amount of Pokemon, then it goes by which Pokemon had the most HP. And he had 4 Pokemon, I had 3 Pokemon. That gives him the win at the end of the timer. Again, I did misplay 3 crucial turns that I think cost me the match. Letting my Rotom Heat go down, or be weakened by the Stone Edge just to get a burn off on Crook when I had two decent switch-ins, being Chestnut and Weezing. And that was kind of a bummer because it was my fault. And then allowing Weezing to go down because I tried to taunt an incoming Zapdos when he actually was just going to sack his Mega Altaria. That kind of confused me because I don't know why you'd sack your Mega Altaria, especially when it's your like a setup agility, outrage, double edge, roost variant. I'm not sure why you'd sack it to a Weezing. And then the Volt Switch play, if I would have did the Volt Switch, I think I would have had a higher chance to win because he would have been forced to switch out multiple more times to try to not let his Jirachi go down. He'd switch into his Zapdos on my Leech Seed, and then I would swap in my own Ditto and go for the Volt Switch again, and then he would have been forced to bring out the Jirachi again, and then hindsight's 20/20, I guess. But still, it was a fun match. It come down to the wire, and yeah, we still have looking at all the teams that have already played their matches this week. We still our differential can't be beat. We have a +10 differential, and the closest to that I think is like +8 or +9 or something like that. And we're sitting at 3-1. There's only 2 teams that I think are undefeated left after we lost this match. We're sitting at 3-1. We still lead our division. We still lead our conference even, so that's really good. This moves the Irvine Infernapes to 3-1 also, but their differential is not as good as ours, so we do sit higher in our conference, as he is in the same conference as us, just a different division. So that's fine. I really wanted to see his Hitmonlee set. He told me for the battle he was bringing heat, but I'm assuming it was his Mega Altaria set and probably his Hitmonlee set, because nothing else really stood out to me. The Jirachi was standard, the Zapdos was standard, the Suicune was standard, and the Crocodile was standard. I maybe expected it to be a Scarf Crook or a Pursuit Crook, considering I have Mew and Mega Alakazam. But like I said, hindsight's 2020. I look forward to hopefully playing him again in the playoffs, because it takes top 2 teams from each divisions. So yeah, if you guys like, leave a like, whatever. See you guys next time.